There is power in saying no. I just want people to feel less alone.
So what are you passionate about? What are you good at? What gets you excited?
And I just want everybody to do well. One, I believe in abundance, and abundance for everybody.
Welcome back to the Cypress Room, where we dive deep on influencing with integrity. This is a podcast for creators, and I'm Christina Mascari.
And I'm Meggie Honeycutt, and we have another fun interview for you guys. We're coming to you live again from Haven Conference in Atlanta.
And we actually snuck an extra person into this interview. So you're getting,
We did.
you are getting a 2-for-1 or 1-for-2. What is it? A 2-for-1.
2-for-1.
So we're excited to welcome to the podcast today. We have Bong and TJ Bain. Thanks for being here, you guys. We're so excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thanks.
We're sharing microphones. We are going on the fly today. So I'm going to have Meggie read the bio because she's so much better at that. And then I'm so excited that TJ has just decided to jump in with us. We invited him. He said yes. And I love it because I know he's a huge part of your content. And I know that he's going to have a lot of business knowledge to share with us as well. So we'll let you read the bio.
Well, Bong is a cut the fluff content creator who believes in abundance for everybody. She loves sharing all she knows about the creator economy and is an open book with trade secrets. She works with billion-dollar brands and believes there's room for everyone to be successful. Building community is an integral part of her ethos, and she has built a super engaged community on her platforms. So we just want to welcome you to the Cypress Room.
Who paid you? Wow, that was like really professional. And that makes me sound so good.
Everybody is like always shocked when we read their bios back to them, but like we take them from articles or from your website or from your socials, but I don't think you write it once and then you never think about it again.
Yeah.
And it's something about hearing somebody else read it. You're like, wait, dang, I have accomplished a lot of stuff.
I know, but it almost sounds braggy, and I'm like,
I know it's hard.
yeah,
It's
I am
hard.
cut the fluff, but
You are. And I, like, when we were picking out our interviews for Haven, you're one of the people that I was like, okay, well, you were at the top of the list. I was like, we have to reach out and ask Bong because I am so infatuated with your content. Like, ever since I discovered it, I think we actually discovered you from your second account where you were kind of sharing some of the behind the scenes of your content creation. And then I actually started following you as a content creator. And one of my favorite things about you is that you share things with me all the time, but I don't feel like it's salesy because you're honest. I don't know. There's just something about you. Do you get that comment a lot that you're just so real? I believe like everything you say.
I think because I'm really picky about what I share. So when I share it, I get really nerdy excited, whether it's like a battery organizer that I'm like, you guys need this.
Yeah.
Like, this will make you so happy. And that's really important to me. That like if I met you in person, you could say, oh, I bought this because you told me to, and I love it. So it's never about the dollar sign at the end of the day. And it should never be about that. Whatever you do in this life, it should never be about making money because that's never how you be successful.
So how did your journey start putting your life online and being an influencer or a content creator? Where did your journey start?
Well, it goes so far back. So 2 people fell in love. My parents met in Saigon, Vietnam. No, but part of it has to do with that because my parents are immigrants, right? So when we came to America, we were really poor. We lived on food stamps and government assistance for a couple of years. So like growing up, my parents weren't ever wealthy. When we ended up getting our first house, it was just like a normal newlywed house. And I remember thinking about these like multi-million-dollar homes and kind of feeling bad because I'm like, I'll never have a house like that. I'll never, like, my house is just very cookie cutter, and kind of feeling bad and having that affect like my self-esteem because I was like, I want all these nice things. I can't ever have them. And so I've also always been a very creative and artsy person and with my hands. So it was like pottery or paper mache or whatever it was. And I lost all of that creativity in my college years and then my 20s because I had to be an adult. So you have to pay the bills. So when you have to work and pay the bills, you don't have time for art. And then I became a mom and I started putting that into stuff for my kids. I would like make all these things for them. And then as I got older, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of done with making baby clothes and shoes and like their room. I started applying it to our house because I have a can-do attitude. I don't think that there's anything I've ever put my mind to that I've ever not done. And so I'm like, okay, I can totally like put some board and batten on the wall. It can't be that hard. So actually, I told TJ one year, I was like, I think that I'm going to start like DIYing our house. And mind you, I didn't even know the names of any saws or anything. So for Mother's Day that year, it was just a few weeks later, TJ bought me like a whole Ryobi kit. And I opened the thing and I'm like, a table saw, a miter saw.
Oh my gosh, you bought her a table saw? She's never used power tools before? You bought her?
I don't think so. It was a table saw. See that? This is how.
So
Tell us, TJ.
With a lot of saws. And I was just like, I'm going to cut my finger off.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he bought that for me and I just started doing it, and I didn't put any of it online because this was just for me. Mm-hmm. This was just my outlet. Like I needed something that wasn't a mom, wasn't a wife. And then it was like a couple years later that I'm like, I'm just going to put this online because I think I can be a really good teacher to teach other women who are in my same position, who want to do it, but they don't know how, and they've never worked with tools their whole life. And I'm going to like talk to them like a normal person. Cause like, I'm always like, I don't really know what this is called, the professional name, but this is how you use it. And I think people relate to that a lot more because nobody actually knows the names of like I still don't know, but like the buttons that do all the things, you know?
And it's like, you kind of don't have to.
No.
And I know that like, I'm never going to go teach a woodworking class, but.
And I'd be scared too.
Yeah. And I can do stuff around my house, but you inspire me because I do see you use the table saw and that's one I'm still scared of.
It still scares me.
Yeah.
We had to use it the other day to cut just flooring. And I'm like, it's just, and I prefer not to use it. But that's the thing is you have to have a respect for the tools.
Yeah.
And then like doing all the safety things that you possibly can. And then like, it's good to watch the videos where people are getting their fingers sliced off because then you're like, okay, I don't want to.
Oh my God.
That. I love my fingers. I want to keep them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So what did you think of this whole process, TJ, as you're seeing her like kind of blossom and tackle these power tools and put her life like online? Was it crazy to you? Was it weird? I mean, we hear people talk about their partner all the time and how they supported them, but this is like awesome to have the partner actually hear and hear like your perspective of her process as she kind of came into her own as a creator.
Yeah. So that's a really, really great question, honestly. And I kind of want to backtrack a little bit. So what's really awesome about watching this whole sorry,
Closer to your
I was afraid. I don't
You guys are so cute. I've seen your cockroaches before. I love the way you even run.
I'm like,
That's why I was like, when I was like,
did you listen to her instructions?
Do you want to sit down, TJ? This will be awesome. Okay, sorry.
So no. I want to make sure I'm doing this to the proper distance. But she's the same human being in the morning, you know, at night with me as she is in front of the camera. And that's what's really beautiful.
What about in the afternoon?
In the afternoon, it depends on what time, whether you're hangry, tired, all that stuff. But she's the same person. She's so what people get, what her followers get, what you guys get is Bong. That's the woman I know, the woman I fall in love with, the woman I've done life with. What's been really awesome about this whole process is, you know, I'm a man's man. My dad's a big, strong guy, businessman. He constantly building things. Like I grew up with my dad constantly working on projects, which actually kind of like put me off from doing this kind of stuff.
His dad actually says I'm the son he always wanted.
Oh my God, it is a joy.
With the power tools. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was around that my whole life. And so now it's kind of flipped. So she's using power tools, she's building stuff, and there'll be days where I'm off hanging out with the kids or sometimes helping her. But it's been really cool to watch this natural progress. And more importantly, watching her do what she loves, because she's so passionate about it. She loves teaching people. She loves empowering people. She loves motivating people. She's super funny, and so she likes making people laugh. And so I actually, every day of my life, I get to watch the person I love more than anything in this world do what brings her joy. And that is just something that as a husband, as a partner, watching your favorite person do what they love, and then watching the impact that has on the world around them. I love it.
Yeah.
I love doing it.
But I will say, I have a very strong personality, if you haven't noticed. And I am I'm just like a very independent, like strong go-getter woman. And it takes a very self-confident man to be married to someone like me, because I can be dominating in the best of ways only, only in the best of ways. And so it really does take a self-confident man to be able to be like, that's my wife, and she uses power tools more than I do.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, my nephew used to get mad at me, or not get mad. He used to tease me and say that Bong's the one that wears the pants in the relationship because he sees her using power tools.
yeah. So it's kind of a joke.
Yeah, so it's a little inside joke.
So when did you start doing, because I think one of your strengths is your brand partnerships. You have some partnerships that just like blow my mind. I know I saw you go out on a trip and do even photo shoots for Lovesac because you've been such a great partner for them. And just the type of content you create and the brands that you work with is so impressive to me. And you share that process behind the scenes with some people in your, influencing, mentoring that you do. What made you decide, I'm not going to gatekeep this, and I'm going to share with people how I negotiate? I'm going to share with people, we have this note on here that we remember you talking about turning down a brand for $50,000 because it didn't work for you, and this is why. Like, what do you think you have that has given you that strength to be such a good negotiator and share it with the world?
I would say it's two parts. One, I believe in abundance, and abundance for everybody. Two, I am confident in who I am and what I can offer, and just my content, my value, all of that. So when you combine the two, I believe that just because I'm sharing exactly how I do something, how I negotiate with a brand, or like what they paid me or what you're worth, it doesn't mean that that you're my competition, because I don't see that. Like, even if we're going for the same company and you get it, I will thoroughly cheer you on. And my first thought is, there must be something better for me. And that's just my mentality. I've lost many deals. It's not a big deal. I've gotten a lot more back. And I think it's just karma, right? Treating people right, you always get it back. And then secondly, I'm confident in myself. And so when I ask for certain numbers, like if they can't pay it, I'm always flexible because I'm super grateful for this job. But also, like, the power of being able to say no says a lot to brands.
Yeah.
And I've said no to brands, a number of times this year because I'm like, I'm so sorry. I can't make it work in my calendar. Like, I would love to. I love your product. I have to say no, but I have some friends who would be willing to do it because they have time. And the brands come back and they're like, we'll pay you more. What's your number? And I genuinely didn't do it because I wanted more. I was just like, I can't. And then thankfully they were flexible with the times, and I'm able to do that. But there's a power in saying no and not being desperate. And now, I've also said yes to like way terrible deals. Yeah, that's okay. But I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. When did you actually start your account?
So I started it in January of 2021.
Okay. And when would you say like your first brand deal is? Do you remember?
No, I remember all of this because I had my influencer course, and so I know all of this.
So you had to write all of this down.
Yes. So I started in January of 2021, and I started getting free stuff, I would say in April, just like lots of free stuff. And the free stuff that we get as influencers is ridiculous. Like, and then because my friends and family are friends and family with me, they end up getting what I don't use, which is, I can't tell you how many robotic vacuums I have had in the last few years. And now my sisters
video.
No, really. And I love them all. Who doesn't love robotic vacuums?
They do the work for you.
And then I got my very first paid offer that I couldn't actually accept for $500. And do you remember, I got the offer, I ran into TJ's office, and I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody wants to pay me $500 to talk about, it was Aqua. You know Aqua.
Yeah.
I love their stuff.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it. I can't remember what happened, but I had to say no, and I was pretty bummed about it. But then I ended up getting like some other deal. So I think it was like July. So 6 months later, I think I made like $2,000 that month, which I was like, holy cow, $2,000? That's like a mortgage payment. And then I just kept going from there. And I think by October, I was making like $15,000. And I was like, what is happening? What is happening? But I will say I am very business minded.
You are.
I also, my background is marketing. I love marketing. I did influencer marketing as a brand when I had my online boutique. And so as a brand, I was finding influencers to work with. And so when I became an influencer, I was like, okay, what do brands want? What did I want when I was looking for, influencers? And so when I would pitch brands, it was like, here, you're going to do no work. I'm going to give you everything. This is why you should work with me. Here's my media kit. Here's my rate. Here's the link, whatever. This is my engagement rate, blah, 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 blah. Here are other brands I've worked with. Like you had to do no work to work with me.
Yeah, you were leading the conversation.
Yeah.
No, I'm curious. So does that mean you've always handled your own brand partnerships? You don't work through an agency or a manager or anything like that?
So I did handle myself. And then in January of 22, an agency reached out and I was like, oh yeah. Because like in my mind at the time, I thought once you have an agent, you've made it. So I was with an agent and it was great. And I'll just be like raw with numbers. Like the first month, I think she booked me 30,000 and I was like, amazing, great. And then it was like 30, 20 maybe. And then for a few months, like it wasn't very much. And I had a conversation with them. I was also moving from Utah to Charlotte. So I didn't have very good content. And I'll be honest, it wasn't because moving content. I'm not going to redo a house and then I just moved in. And when I had a call with her, she made me feel terrible. I felt like another number. I got off and I didn't cry, but I felt all that like, you know, like, and I love myself. So like to have someone make me feel like I'm going to cry. And so then I was like, I just have to let her go. And like the next month I booked myself like $30,000 or something. So then I was booking myself for a while. And then another agent reached out and she was the agent of my friends. And it was just going to be us two. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. But we also negotiated a really cool deal where if I did it myself, it was 0%. If she did, it was 15%. And so I was fine with that. And thankfully, we did have that deal because I ended up booking a lot more by myself. Because the truth at the end of the day, and I say this to everyone, nobody cares about feeding your kids like you do. Nobody cares about paying your mortgage like you do. And when I was seeing the pitch from all the other agents, it wasn't like, hey, you should work with Bong because blah, 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 blah. It was like, hey, you should work with Bong and TJ and or Bong or TJ or Meggie. Or like there was like 15 influencers. So how was I special besides, you know, being Asian and everybody else was white? Like, and so nobody's going to pitch you like yourself. No one's going to sell you like yourself because nobody cares like you do.
Right.
So obviously there are a handful of creators who are super happy with their agent, and I'm so glad they are. But like I can't tell you how many of my friends are independent now, just because it's the same, you know.
Yeah.
So
well, so you said you have an influencer course. Are these the types of things you're encouraging other influencers in that course? And it's kind of a twofold question because I know you share so much information outside of a course. How do you decide what you keep for the course? How do you decide what you just put out there for the universe? Like, kind of a twofold question.
So the course is, obviously, I feel like you could Google anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of the things that we are talking about, you can Google. But there are certain things that you only learn when you've been doing something for a certain amount of time, like little insights, little tidbits, and they could be just a couple sentences, right? So I feel like with my course, it's very organized. I'm very thorough in everything that I do. And when I went to go make this course, I was like, oh, I can totally do it. Like, I know how my brain works. I'm really organized. I'm very systematic. And I found this company. They actually happened to be located in Charlotte. And I actually paid $30,000 to have my course made. And it was worth it because I am so proud of it. Now, this sounds like I'm pitching my course. I'm not. You guys don't even need to buy it. I'll give you all the well, not all of it's here. But I want everybody who takes my course to say, this is the best course I've ever taken. It was 100% worth the money. And they tell their friends. That's how much pride I have in the course. And so, yes, you could totally have the information if you sat down with me and talked with me for like hours on end. But it would be like a brain dump. So the course is just really organized. And like the company that I worked with, I literally just brain dumped everything and then they reorganized it like, okay, this is module 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, I mean, I can't tell you how many hours were put into it. So, and I just love sharing things. Like, I don't know what it is about my personality. I just love sharing anything about and everything. And I just want everybody to do well. And I really believe in the space. If you have a passion for what you do, whether it's DIY or whether it's beauty or fashion, like if you have a passion and if you have create value, you can monetize it.
Yeah. Wow. That is so cool.
Yeah. No, I really believe that.
Well, so how much of your business now is teaching others versus taking on big projects yourself? And still, is it kind of a balance? Do you do both 50-50 or are you mostly doing DIY projects and the teaching the influencers is kind of like a little side thing that you do in addition to that? What does that look like?
Yeah. So the goal with my course is to have passive income. Because right now I love what I do, but I'm technically still working. Like I'm technically still like an employee for Home Depot and like all the other companies, right? So my goal in the long term is to have passive income from my course, making money while I sleep. So I actually have hired a ads agency that I've worked with previously. She's amazing. And we are creating an entire sales system for my course. But right now it's making zero money for me. It's made money because I've launched it, but it's not actively live for sale because I don't want it to be. But once that is going, we have goals for what it will make. So 100% of my income right now is being an influencer. So brand deals and affiliates and stuff.
But you're kind of setting yourself up for future passive income.
Yes.
Wow. That is really smart.
Sorry, we're sharing a microphone, so I have to be like, wait, I want to ask a question. I love that we have both of you here because you're very smart. And like, I think that's why people are so drawn to you. We can tell that you have just a business sense beyond creating the content. And I think that is kind of an anomaly in this. But I know that TJ is such a support person to you because I always see him with you when I see you at events like this. So what do you see as your role in, Bong's business? Do you have official supports or do you have your own career or are you just supporting at home? Like, what does your role look like just in the family?
Yeah. So I actually have a long background in technology sales. So for about 13 years prior to working with her full time, I was selling software into some of the biggest companies in the US. And so I have a lot of experience in terms of negotiating contracts, reaching out, building relationships, that kind of a thing. And it was in January of 23 that we kind of saw how this was going, right? And I'll even back up a little bit before then. It's been so cool because even before that, I was constantly holding this vision of Bong coming into my office and being like, honey, you will never believe what happened before any of this ever happened. Wow. So she shared how when she got that first brand deal, I had just wrapped up a sales call. I'm taking my notes, from the call, and the door to my office flies open and she's like, honey, you will not believe what happened. And she's just so happy. She's like, I got this brand deal. And I looked at her and I got emotional, honestly, because to see that was such an awesome thing. And so fast forward now to January of 23, like it's just grown and grown and grown. And she's so smart. As soon as she figured out that there's a way that she could actually turn this into a business, she was just all for it. And so I was getting burned out of corporate America. We've got 3 beautiful kids. And our goal was to be able to, by the end of 23, me step away from what I was doing and go full-time helping to grow this business. And literally like the middle of February, I was laid off from my job, given 5 months severance, paid for, my benefits, I think were paid for like 6 months. And so like, this is it.
The perfect timing. We want to try it. We got a little bit of a cushion.
I remember I was like a goal in my head. I'm like, when I consistently make $40,000 a month, I can like TJ can work with me. And we hadn't consistently hit 40. We were at like 30 something and TJ got laid off and I'm like, it's fine. We don't have a choice. Let's just do it. Don't even look for a job. And like, we took him on and it's just been like more and more and more. And he at first pitched for me. So I'm like, dude, you've been in sales.
Yeah.
I'll show you my exact, I'll show you. And honestly, you're going to sell me better than I'm going to sell.
Yeah.
I'm not going to brag. You're going to brag.
Yeah.
And so, I was like, here's my whole system. This is what I say. Tweak it with each brand. This is my media kit. This is what a media kit is. Because he was like, what the heck's a media kit? And this is my system for following up all of my templates and all of that, which is all in my course.
Which is funny though. The thing is, I'd already done all this. So I already knew how to do all this. Like, so what I was doing is I was spending my time reaching out, sending emails, cold calling into Fortune 500 companies, people in the C-suite that wanted nothing to do with me. I was just one of 1,000 people reaching out to where now I was pitching her and I was able to reach out these brands. And so
TJ's like the closing ratio.
Oh my God.
Doing your, cause like,
my definition.
Like taking candy from a baby. For to answer the rest of the question. So that was a big part of it, supporting that. I get involved in a lot of the projects. I do a lot of the demolition, the building, the behind the scenes stuff. But one thing that's very interesting, and this is kind of a new leap that we feel like we're taking and trying to like really help other people see is there is something to, we're not just building Wild Hearts Home, we're building our kingdom, we're building our, and that includes our family. And so, you know, in addition to the things that I do within the business, there's other things I get to do, such as take my kids to school every day, pick my kids up from school. If I need to run them to a doctor's appointment, like the small things, cooking dinner, doing things so that while I'm working on the business and growing the business, I'm also showing up and where we're really pouring into our family. And that's the most important priority for us.
Yeah.
Wild Hearts Home is going to be successful because we are giving value into this world and we're doing it from a place of love. But the most important thing is that we're raising amazing kids and that we're doing everything we can to help make the world a better place. And so because of that, I feel like we're so aligned in this goal of not just building Wild Hearts Home, not just building Influential, but also helping our followers, like giving value into their life while also being able to focus on our family. So there is no separation. We're doing life together, and it's been really beautiful.
That's so beautiful. I love that you brought up your kids because it was just something that I was thinking as I'm sitting here looking at you two beautiful people that love each other, that are building this beautiful thing together, and creating a beautiful legacy for your family. Like, what do your kids think about what you guys do?
I show my boys like a new space that I just built, and they're like, cool.
But what do they think about influencing? Is the fact that you make money by
Cool.
They just think it's cool. They just don't even
honestly,
know. Mom and dad. Yeah, it's mom and dad.
That's
Yeah,
what we do.
but the thing is, when I land something really big, or not even really big, even if it's like, you know, like my Home Depot ambassadorship or whatever,
Congratulations on that. By
Thank
the way,
you.
that was
That
amazing.
such an
That was
honor.
so cool.
I can't
and you
do it.
totally deserve it. It
Thank
was
you.
really
It
awesome
means a
to
lot.
see.
We celebrate each other in our family. So not just when I get a deal, but when they get, you know, a B on something they worked really hard and studied hard for, we celebrate that in our family. So they do celebrate with me, but as far as like actual room designs, they're like, cool. No,
my
I
gosh,
don't need to do
your
my room, Mom. It's fine.
Your home's so beautiful.
Not every space.
Well, it's funny because I also they don't want to be on the camera, you know.
I noticed that.
Our youngest
does.
does, but what's really cool is our girl. They're like the same person.
Yeah.
Like it's Tatum is Bong's little mini me,
Oh
and
my
it's funny.
gosh.
She's got such a similar skill set, and so we're already, as we're doing this, like I mentioned, it's more than just our business. This is our life that we're building.
Yeah.
We're really trying to be intentional on how we raise our children and helping them to find their passion. Because look, Wild Hearts Home came from her passion.
Mm-hmm.
It's what she loves to do. It's what she's uniquely good about and good at. And so we're using this as an opportunity to really teach our kids to be like, hey, what do you love doing? What are you uniquely good at? Let's help cheer you guys on as you guys go out and find your thing in this world too.
In fact, like my 10-year-old came to me, was it just yesterday? It was just yesterday. And he's been wanting a computer for years. He's been saving up for years. He has like $400. And he was just really talking to me about he wants to make YouTube videos. And he loves to play video games and like did this whole thing. And he's like, you know, Mom, my biggest goal is to be like this content creator. And he's like, and like, I feel like I have an up on everybody else because you already know how to do certain things. And I was like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, the problem is, bud, I'm trying to balance being a parent who wants her kid to go after his passion, but also balancing electronics for kids. And so how do I do that? So we had this long conversation of like, because I'm a mean mom and I have screen time and my kids
We're strict over here too. I was horrified when I told them my kids have screen time. They're like, "Oh, you're so terrible."
Oh, I get that all the time. I'm like, I don't care if you think I'm mean. Sorry, I don't wait till you have kids. And so we kind of negotiate some stuff out. But to see that my 10-year-old has a passion for, he's like, I want to make these YouTube videos to show kids how to be better at different things. I'm like, how do I say no to that? Because this is what I do. So I'm like, so we have to go home and talk about it some more, how we're going to like do this the right way and all of that. But I love that like seeing me do what I love has inspired him to do that same thing. And like, even if nothing comes from it and he doesn't make money from it, man, at least he tried. Most people never try to go after their dream. You know, I think his dreams will change when he's 15 and 20. Mm-hmm. But for right now, like, I'm not going to squash those. I'm going to do it, you know, with a parenting eye and just be like, okay, let's see. And
I think it is just beautiful to encourage your kids, because I was the type of person that I grew up and my parents were like, you're going to go to college. And I didn't go to college. And you're going to, you know, work in business, whatever you choose. And I did that for 7 years. And then I stayed home and raised my kids. And now I do this thing that is completely crazy. I have an LLC. Like I've had contractors. It's when I think about it, it's wild. And your kids get to see that. They get to see you like take risks and have successes and have wins. And like, but if they want to go to college, great.
Yeah.
But now I have that mindset of like, let me see what you're really passionate about, because I wasn't passionate what I was doing. I wasn't. And now that I have something that I'm passionate about, I'm like, I want everybody to know that like you can take a chance and you can try it and it might work for you. It might not. Like I can't guarantee it for you, but there is so much more than, I don't know, maybe what you've seen growing up. So your kids are being exposed to something really beautiful.
Our parents' generation, especially for my parents, because they're in the Asian mentality, which is like you go to school and you pretty much be a doctor or a lawyer, you know, which I never went that route. But I think our parents' generation, it was like this pathway of go to college, work a career, and you work there for 30 years and then you retire. It doesn't matter if you're miserable or not, right? But like we are learning, like there's so many ways to make money. Like we're so lucky because this whole social media industry is brand new. I mean, it's like 8 years old, really. And if you compare that to TV ads, newspaper ads, radio ads, like we're just in the baby stages. Like it's going to keep booming. It's not going away. It may shift, but this whole thing has like brought in so many different ways to make money ethically while maintaining like, you know, your morals and stuff. So I think it's wonderful.
Well, the last thing I want to add to this that I think is really important, our kids have been able to see, they've watched me over the years. There have been times where I've been loving my job, things have been going well. There have been times that I haven't loved my job, right? And if I'm being honest, while I feel very fortunate that I was able to provide in the way that I was able to work with some great companies and learn some really awesome things. It wasn't aligned with me. I wasn't passionate about it. I didn't love what I was doing. And so, you know, Bong kind of hit on this a little bit earlier. We live in a time now where there are so many opportunities to monetize, to make money. The question that what I was always seeking when I was growing up is, well, you need to do this, this, and this so you can make money and provide for a family one day. But not one time in college, not one time growing up was I ever really asked, well, what do you love doing? Like what fires you up? What gets your heart on fire? No one ever asked me that.
Because that's just the thing you do on the weekend. Like that's your hobby.
That's just what you do. No one ever, the thought or the idea in my mind, it never really dawned on me that I could actually make money doing something that I love to do. It was almost like I had to go and spend 40 hours a week doing something I didn't love to do so that the weekend would come and I could do what I wanted to do. And so what we're really trying to do with our kids and with everybody, with the followers, with friends, with anybody we come into contact with is ask them that question. What are you passionate about? What are you good at? What gets you excited? And then encourage people to really pursue that, because it's in the pursuit of that everything else comes.
Yeah, I love that you're saying this, and it makes me think of, we've had a lot of conversations about how the year 2020 was sort of this catalyst for people to really reevaluate what they want work, family, and life to really look like. So I love that you're saying this, because I do think that was such a good year that empowered people to take risks and be like, well, why not try it, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I just think that's really cool. And the fact that social media has allowed you to be able to build the kind of family life that you want and make a good living at it and enjoy what you're doing, I think is just amazing.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to talk about is we kind of talked about your intentionality behind the links that you share and stuff. But I want to know more about your thought process and intentionality over just the personal things you share. I know that there's a lot of, you share a variety of topics. You're very vulnerable in what you share about in your life. And can you kind of walk us through your intentionality behind that and what you share, and that you are so open with your followers? Just tell us a little bit about the why behind that.
The why? I don't know the why. I've always been an open book. And I guess I do know the why. I just want people to feel less alone, because I know what it's like to struggle in like postpartum depression and struggle alone and not tell anybody except for TJ. And it sucks. And if somebody would have said like, I struggle with postpartum depression too, and like I know exactly how you feel and whatever. So I talk about everything because I don't ever want there to be a stigma with it. Like I just had like my boobs completely redone, And I talk about the whole thing, like everything that goes into it. And so many people were like, oh, you're so brave for it. And I'm like, am I? Because like, I don't think I am, because there is still a stigma about like after we have kids, like our boobs get kind of weird. And I mean, you laugh, it's true. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You laugh, it's true. It's the ultimate sacrifice. And so I, got them all cut up and look like Frankenstein now, but it's fine. They still work. They do their job. But I just wanted to talk about it so there was less shame. And because there's a lot of moms out there, a lot of my followers are in their 30s and they've had kids. So they know what it's like to have like a body that they're unhappy with. And as long as you're doing it for yourself and you're doing it because you want to, I'm all for it. And so that's just my mentality, but also being completely like authentic. Like I would never come on and say like TJ and I have had the perfect marriage for our entire marriage. And I'll come on and be like, oh my gosh, the first 2 years of our marriage were so hard. Birth control made me crazy. And I didn't know how to communicate effectively. And that's things that I had to learn. Like, I never yell at my kids. No, I yell at my kids more than I would like to, but I apologize every single time. So I just think, I remember when Instagram first started and it was very curated. Stories were perfect, pictures were perfect and everything. And then like, I feel like after 2020, it was like, we don't want that anymore. Like, yeah, this room may be really pretty, but let me show you what is behind the camera. And people appreciate that so much because that's relatable. Like people can't relate to somebody who always has a perfectly clean home or a perfect marriage or kids who all get straight A's. Like people don't want that. Like those days are gone.
Yeah. I think that's powerful though. The point about it's when we share things that shame doesn't get a chance to attach to us and it erases it for other people. And I think there's something really powerful in that because especially as women, all the hats we wear, all of the roles that we're responsible for. And a lot of times women feel like they're failing in certain areas because they look around and see a highlight reel.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important, to have people who are like, hey, it's not all great all the time. And like, there's no shame in that.
Yeah.
So I think that's beautiful. And it also makes me think of, we did a reaction video to Vanessa Lau, who was a successful creator that walked away. And one of the things when she came back, she talked about is that the thing she was purposing to do is really create content around her mission and values. And I thought to myself, well, shouldn't we all be doing that? Anyways, but I think you're a really beautiful example of that and to encourage other people to do the same and not have to necessarily perform for social media.
I mean, I will say that not everybody is naturally as open and that's okay. Like you don't have to be, but be yourself still. Like I'm an open book, so I'm fine talking about everything. But even if I wasn't, like who you meet in person is who you would meet, who you see on social media. And that's not always the case because I think some people feel like they need to like whatever. And so that's never been, I just like who I am. And I don't want to have to remember who I'm talking to so I can like put on that mask. I just want to be myself.
I love that though, because we talk about imposter syndrome and so many of us are looking to the left, looking to the right, comparing to other people. But I just love your confidence and your boldness to show up as authentically yourself.
Thank you.
And
my favorite quote is, I think it's David Grohl. He's like the singer of the Foo Fighters. Yes, the one that's like, I love your greatest superpower is like you are the only you, and that is your greatest superpower. Yeah. It's true. Like I don't want to be anybody else. Yeah, I went through all the hard things in my life to be exactly who I am today, and I am proud of it.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm going to share a personal story about meeting Bong, and I hope you guys. This is funny though. I'm going to share this is a lesson to all of us that you need to talk to people that are not like you because we're very different. You are so assertive. I wish I could be assertive. I'm like a people pleaser. So the first time that we got to meet in person, we were having a chat. Bong is very sarcastic. She is super funny. And I've watched her in stories forever, but my first in-person interaction with her, she like said something to me and it was like such a miscommunication. Like she was joking with me and I thought she was like being mean to me. And so I'm sitting here this whole conversation. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sad.
Well, I'm not. Tell the story. You don't get there. I was right. Because you're like, she was being mean. Okay.
She wasn't.
No,
being
I'm
mean.
so sarcastic. So
She was being you were trying to be funny and I missed it.
I think we were talking about Achiever Haven, one of the two, and it was like you were on the board for something, and
we said, oh, why didn't you ever speak here? I was like, oh, I was invited to speak at that, but they couldn't pay for my plane ticket or something.
Yeah, and so I was being sarcastic, and I was like,
do it.
oh, I guess all you care about is money. I guess you're just greedy, and like I said it in that funny voice,
and it was. But it was late at night. I don't know. And I just and this is just a lesson of miscommunication because you were not being mean. You really weren't. But I interpreted it wrong. And I'm sitting there being like, oh, I'm just going to walk away. And I guess I'm never going to follow Bong and talk again. And then some voice in my head was like, you are being crazy. Why don't you just tell her how you feel?
Yeah.
So I was just like, hey, Bong, like, I need to clear the air. Like, you said I only care about money. And I don't. Like, I really, I guess it was my first time meeting you. I probably wanted to impress you. I don't know. But I shared that with you and you go, oh my gosh. Like,
I felt terrible.
I was kidding. And then all her friends come over and she's telling them that story and they're like, Bong, you can't do that. You have to wait until that. But you were being yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the point where we get in these conflicts or these misunderstandings. And what if I would have just walked away and never followed you again? I would have got to sit here and hear this beautiful story and see this beautiful life that you're creating. And I would have missed it because...
But it was also a good lesson for me to shut up sometimes. But for you, it took a lot of humility in order to be like, hey, I'm actually I'm not greedy. I don't just care about money. For you to voice your opinion, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm like a bolder personality, it's even harder.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of you for even saying that. Because honestly, I would have never known. Because I'm so sarcastic. Yeah. That we never met again or had you acted weird next time, I would have been like, oh, she must be having a bad day.
I know. So I thought that to be a lesson to people because I could have for a misunderstanding, it could have just been
for the rest of your life, you're like, am I greedy? Do I only care about money?
Yes. And then I'd be like, and every time I'd see Bong, I was like, oh, there's Bong. She hates me.
She thinks that I'm greedy.
That was not real. Sometimes we make up scenarios in our head. 100%. And that's just for free, guys, because just to show you that we can all be neurotic and get in our own heads and don't let that just steal your joy, because it was a moment where something was really trying to get me to disconnect from you. And I'm like, no.
The thing is, there's reality and then there's our perception.
Our perception, yeah.
And a lot of times our perception is wrong because did you know that we have 80,000 thoughts a day and most of them are negative? Most of them are negative and we just automatically believe them. So we have to be able to immediately nope, that's not true. Pass on one ear out the other.
Yeah.
And so you just have to, you pick and choose the thoughts that you believe, which hopefully are the positive things.
And the truth of the matter is that you are such an encourager and you're so kind and you're not mean at all. And so I think the last thing I want to have you is kind of just speak directly to any viewer and encourage them in negotiating for their worth. Because I feel like that's your superpower. And I feel like they don't understand their worth. And so coming from someone who understands her worth and how to speak up for herself and how, what she's worth, what's your advice to someone going to negotiate their brand deals?
Am I looking here?
Yeah, look at the camera. Talk to them.
You guys, here is the mighty right.
The Bong encouragement.
First of all, feet pics always help. I'm just kidding. I will say there is power in saying no. And there's power in saying no, thank you. I am worth more than that. And just because you say no to a brand doesn't mean they're going to come back and be like, okay, bye. They may come back and say, okay, so here's what we can pay you. Or, okay, we'll reach back out when we have more budget. But when you know the value in yourself, you just can't beat that. When you're accepting a low deal, which I have, it turns out those brands are always the ones that are so difficult to work with anyways. I promise you there is an abundance of brands out there. An abundance of brands who want to work with you and they just don't know you exist yet. So you just got to pitch. But the brands that know your value, they will pay you and they're out there. There's something uniquely special about you that is better than anything I could offer or Christina could offer that makes you valuable. So just remember that.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for your time. I just love you guys even more now. And TJ, I feel like it's so good to sit down in person with you and talk to you because I feel like I know you through Bong's content. When I met you today, I was like, oh, I know who you are. Because I'm like, oh, I know who you are. I'm sure that's probably weird, but I did feel like I already knew you the way she lovingly talks about you and the way I see you support her in your content. So this has just been such an encouragement to my soul, and I know it's going to be an encouragement to everybody else that watches it. So do you have any words to sum us up?
No, I really enjoyed getting to know you guys more. It's just been so fun, and I am so excited to go consume more of your content and see what you're up to and follow your journey. And just for you guys out there, we will link to all of Bong's socials
And her course, and we are recommending her course, even though she is not she is not soliciting it. We are saying, hello, it is 100% worth it. So we will leave that.
And if you don't buy my course, my Instagram page, I just share a ton of stuff on there. I just love sharing it. And also, are you paying me for this? Because I'm only doing this for the money. Okay, because I am greedy. My check.
See, again, it's a joke. I get joke. Well, thank you for being with us today. We'll be back with another podcast soon, and we'll see you next time in the Cypress Room.